Oh, and welcome to today's episode of Die of a Gold Coin Dealer. I was sitting down and I was thinking, I think I'm going to try and endeavour to put this out every Monday. I think there's going to be enough action and it's going to be interesting enough to put this out every Monday. And also, I don't really get stock on a Monday, which means that the Sunday slot I can do the everything I learned trading gold professionally. They are slightly different. One's going to be more anecdotal and tips and tricks in terms of what I do, and one's going to talk about my week. I think these videos are important for me, just as well as some people like to watch them. It'd be nice to look back when I finally do decide to pass the baton on to someone else. I say pass the baton, there's plenty of people who can, they're more than apt to do it by themselves. So this week's been a bit of a strange one. The first week of the new year's always a bit of a strange one. January is very hit and miss. I've got many years worth of data. I've always found that January can either be very good or it could be very bad. Typically, February is the lull month as well. So I try and hit it hard in the January to top up my income in the February. That's slightly changed this year around because the stock I've got coming in, there's no reason why I can't push for a 5 to 6k profit month, even with lesser sales, just down to the stock I have. So I've got another batch of barcoded come in. They're pretty lucrative, the barcoded stamps. I've also got a coin set that, due to the way I worked it, this should have been 2 months ago, 3 months ago. It should have been in. That's pure profit. So it should look good this month without doing that much work. February's another matter. February I might be like, March I'm not too worried about because it tends to put the stamp price up and I've got enough that I can kind of pot onto the market. So in terms of sales, it's been a really slow start for me. It's been lucrative, but it's been a slow start. So I'm going to look at what my banking app says. I won't show you guys because I've got to have some form of privacy in terms of the business. I can't tell you absolutely everything, but in terms of cash flow, I've sold £3,650 for this past week. In terms of profit, I know I haven't done the numbers. I know from what I've sold, there's probably going to be about £600-700 profit on that. That's not normal for me. Like usually, I'll be doing half. I'll be aiming for 10%. It's just how the cookies crumbled. So I'm more than happy. I know that the stuff coming in is going to be very lucrative as well. So the type of margin I make for this month is going to be very high. Usually it doesn't work that way. I do have a couple of things lined up as well. So there's a gentleman who will be sending stock over from London. That's an interesting batch. That's a very interesting batch. There's a few bits in that I think people will like to view. It'll make for good viewing. I've offered him what I feel is a fair price. He's happy to accept it. So it's just a case of getting him in, paying the gentleman. There's another gentleman who has offered me a 2002 4-coin set. I can't buy it until I've worked through this other order. Because of cash flow being so lean at the moment and waiting on multiple different things to cash flow it, it means that I have to sequence how I buy. I have to sequence how I trade. So I've got to go bam, 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 because there's another order afterwards, which is that's going to be sovereigns, but I should have received the graded coins and the barcoded stamps, so I should be able to do that. The gentleman selling me the sovereigns, I'm pretty sure he said he's got about 50 of them. So if he has, happy days. I also want to line up some more 1 gram gold bars. I've been working on a little project with those, so there's no money in them. There's absolutely, it's a pittance. So I think I paid 73. No, I know I paid 73. The first batch was slightly cheaper, but I paid 73. I made £2 a bar. And you might think, well, why are you doing that? Because it's a project. It's fun. I can move postage, but every time I sell a lot of bars, so 73. Every time I sell 36 bars, I put 1 bar to one side. So I'm just stacking my profits, and that's gonna. I'm hoping to build that up. I'd love to get to 100 1 gram bars. I'll just stick them in the vault and forget about them for a while. It's a way you can kind of build your reserves without actually doing much. because now I'm at the point where I've got the cash flow to just sit on things. I I understand the irony if people listening saying, you just said you don't have cash flow. Like, why are you saying you've now got cash flow to park things? Cash flow is a fickle beast in the sense that I go through stages where I've got tons of excess, and I go through stages where it's just a bit tighter. But overall, this is the best I've probably been running for a long time, and I think 2025, it's going to be very simple. As soon as these things come back and I start shifting through them and I start selling some more of the postage, if I move 50,000 postage stamps, which I plan to do this year in terms of first class, that's what, 55 grand, 50, 56k. I'm not really replacing the postage either. I'm slowly working through it, and I'm running down my positions because it's all going into the passive income, which I am going to make a video about that, but I want to go for a bit more the year before I do make a video. So yeah, it's been a strange one. There's stock lined up. There's probably a couple of auctions I might look into for February. The pipeline is pretty healthy. If anything, I'm very stock heavy, so I just need to work through it. But it's a case of selling it at a fair price rather than just giving it away, because it's hard to find stock. You know, or at least for me, it's hard to find stock. I don't run a system where people phone me every day. I do get people inquire fairly often, but usually I've got to go and find that stock. I've got to go to auctions. I've got to scour the web. I've got to see what's on the groups, and it's nice when you've got stock in, and it's difficult to kind of give it away when the markets are slower. I might as well just sit on it and wait for better days. I think that's the way forward. So yeah, what are my plans for next week? I'm not going to give you an indication of gold either, not on this occasion, because I spoke about it relatively recently. But I think next week is just going to be a case of going through what I think I can monetize, and then just sorting it out, really. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. I'll just move on to the next bit, and I'll just rotate it around until it's gone. So, also there was a client of mine. He sent me a message earlier, and he said, "There's a place that's selling MS65 double eagles for, I think it was 2150. I've managed to get them to send it to my local. Oh, they're going to be sending it to my local shop. You can reserve it and get it sent, which I didn't know was a feature they offered. So it's an MS65 Plus, 1908, no motto. If I can get that in, I reckon that's worth about 2.5. It's one of those coins though. If it doesn't sell, I'm happy to keep it. I would love to add that to my collection. It's probably going to be a case of I'll offer it for sale, and if it doesn't sell, I'll be like, oh no, like it hasn't sold. What a shame. I'm gonna have to put it in the bank vault with the other stuff I secretly wanted to keep here. But I was really happy that the gentleman sent me a message, because stuff like that, I've got a soft spot for stuff like that. I've got a $20 in front of me. It hasn't even sold for spot plus post, which is crazy, but it says more about the time of the year than it does about the coin. That happens. It does happen. There are some buyers on the market, but it's certainly a buyer's market, and I'm not selling below spot plus post. You know, don't even ask me. If you want to play a dealer, then play dealer. Set up a business, put all the things in place, pay an accountant, pay your taxes, you know, and I'll give you trade rates. But I say that loosely. I'm not giving many people trade rates, but you get the message. But I'm not selling below spot to the general public, because I don't want to be honest. I think it sets a very bad precedent. It is what it is. Anyway, I hope you've kind of enjoyed this week's episode of Diver Gold Coin Dealer. I will endeavour to put this out weekly this year. I will endeavour to put out the other series I've got planned. So I'm hoping Sunday, Monday, because they're the 2 days where I just won't be receiving stock. Historically speaking, I very rarely get stock on a Monday. And I think I've got a lot to offer in both those series, you know, over the coming year. Anyway, take care, guys. Bye.